Hey everyone, I'm Krexu, and welcome back to another video on this channel. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Hollowmarch is another mod that adds brand new structures, but on top of that, it also drops completely new blocks, armor sets, weapons, and even custom monsters. Now you'll find over a dozen new structures in the world, and honestly, they look amazing and definitely make you want to go out and explore, especially since the loot inside is actually really cool. Plus, you'll run into new types of mobs and villagers hanging out in some of these spots. The mod also introduces new food, armor, weapons, and even a gravity wand. Just a heads up, you'll need to install GeckoLib, supplementaries, and create, since the structures actually use blocks and features from those mods. Personally, I think it adds the perfect amount of new structures and items, and it's definitely worth noting that the mod is still actively being developed and gets regular updates. Underlay is a unique mod that lets you place certain blocks in the same spot where another block is already standing, so you can create much more detailed and good-looking builds without using commands or any complicated building tricks. The biggest advantage of this mod is the ability to place blocks like carpets, trapdoors, buttons, rails, or pressure plates underneath other blocks. So for example, you can put a carpet under a chest, a bed, a torch, a sign, or even under stairs. There's also a configuration option. If the default list of supported blocks feels too limited, you can expand it yourself with extra blocks from other mods. That makes Underlay work really well with bigger mod packs focused on building and interior decorating. This is definitely a mod that in a way transforms and improves a ton of our build ideas. Fangs and Claws is a fairly extensive mod for people who'd like the world to be a lot more dangerous. The mod adds a genuinely massive amount of completely new and unique enemies, and each one has its own behaviors, special attacks, and unique drops. From now on, during gameplay, we can run into things like goblins, ghosts, werewolves, huge ogres, or scorpions. I only listed a few, but I won't be able to show you all of them because there's simply too many. Still, every enemy has its own abilities. For instance, while wandering around, we might notice a totem stuck in the ground. When we go up to grab it, we'll instantly regret it because a golem will jump out at us. Similarly, we might run into a mob called the Shrike, which will instantly freeze us and try to kill us. Meanwhile, ogres, for example, can destroy the blocks around them during their powerful attacks. After defeating the monsters, we get new materials that we can use to craft new gear. The mod adds things like silver swords that are effective against werewolves, blowguns with poison darts, a special hook that pulls enemies toward you, bear traps, armor made from scorpion shells, or magic lanterns that scare off hostile mobs. There are also new status effects like bleeding, venom, stun, or flamebrand, which add a lot of variety to combat. There's genuinely a ton of it, and going through all of it one by one would take way too long for a single episode. Best of all, the author keeps developing the mod constantly. In the latest updates, more new monsters keep showing up, along with additional armor and weapon sets. Thanks to that, the mod regularly gets new content, and with every version it offers more and more challenges. This is definitely one of the more underrated mods out there. Illager Structures is a really cool mod for anyone who thinks Illagers definitely don't have enough structures of their own. It adds over 30 custom handcrafted structures to the game, all themed around Illagers. Thanks to this, instead of just finding the usual pillager outposts, you'll run into tons of new stuff while exploring, like massive forts, monasteries, pirate ships, underwater bases, and even abandoned ruins. The best part about this mod is the variety. The structures are split into a few categories that only spawn in specific biomes. Interestingly, you'll actually find regular villagers instead of illagers in some of these spots. They also added new structures to the oceans, like ships, floating outposts, and even submarines. You can find the full breakdown of which biomes these structures spawn in on the mod's official page. In my opinion, it's a really solid mod that adds a ton of fresh and interesting structures to the game. ARKANE Domains is a pretty massive mod that adds completely new bosses, new structures, and brand new weapons with unique mechanics of their own. For now, the mod only adds 3 new bosses, but the authors already said they've got plans to add a bunch more down the line. Each boss spawns in its own unique structure tied to a specific biome. For example, you'll only find the cursed Fario out in the desert inside his temple, while the druid hangs out in his little house in the taiga biome. Every boss comes with its own set of defenders, its own abilities, and unique loot, like their own personal weapon, which comes packed with special abilities. You can knock enemies back, heal yourself, or attack using runes and different kinds of items, like ones that give you fall damage resistance. In my opinion, this mod is genuinely really well made, and I'm definitely looking forward to whatever updates the authors got coming next. Cinematic Respawn is a unique mod for people who think the death screen in Minecraft pops up too abruptly and completely breaks the immersion of the gameplay. The mod completely replaces the standard death screen with a smooth, cinematic transition between the moment of death and respawning, making the whole thing look a lot more impressive. After dying, we won't see the classic screen with a respawn button. Instead, the camera performs a smooth cinematic transition and the character automatically respawns once the animation ends. Of course, we can also skip this animation by pressing space. In my opinion, this is a very simple, small visual mod that doesn't change any mechanics, but makes the game look a lot more cinematic. So if you like polished visual effects, this mod will be perfect for you. Shrapnel Explosions is a pretty unique but super simple mod that completely upgrades how explosions work. In vanilla Minecraft, explosions just destroy blocks and deal damage in a set radius, but with this mod, every blast turns into pure chaos full of flying shrapnel that can heavily damage you. The mechanic is super straightforward. When something blows up, blocks literally shatter into tiny fragments with their own physics. And these fragments aren't just for show, they actually deal damage and bounce off hard walls. The way it interacts with the environment is really cool too. Shrapnel can pierce through thin obstacles like leaves, fences, wooden doors, or glass, which gets completely shattered by flying debris. Some fragments can even bounce unpredictably off metal blocks like iron. It's also worth mentioning that the mod is fully compatible with stuff like Explosion Overhaul or Superb Warfare, making it absolutely perfect for a military mod pack. Tax Village Architect is a mod that completely rebuilds village generation, adding new buildings and changing their layout, making settlements bigger and more varied. From now on, while exploring, we can come across a lot of new houses and utility buildings that were designed in a typical vanilla style. It's worth pointing out that literally every building has been redesigned, so you won't find those boring old villages we all know here anymore. A very big plus is also that the mod keeps that vanilla feel and doesn't add new professions, items, or mechanics. It focuses purely on improving one element of the game, and it does it really well. The mod also adds a completely new village for the Cherry Blossom biome, which was made really nicely, and for me that's a big plus since it's my favorite biome. In my opinion, this is one of those mods that should literally be in every survival mod pack. We've been growing like crazy lately, so hit that subscribe button and join the crew. A good place is a really small modification that's basically an add-on to make the whole gameplay smoother without actually changing anything. The mod focuses on just one single element, block placement. From now on, every block you place gets its own little spawn-in animation, which makes building look way more satisfying to watch. The mod comes with two different versions of the placement animation, and switching between them is as easy as activating the right resource pack. In my opinion, this is the kind of add-on that should be in every single mod pack because it just makes building feel so much smoother. LeadPhysics is a super small but really nice mod that visually upgrades leads in Minecraft. In the vanilla game, a lead looks like a stiff, practically motionless string that just clips through every single block. This mod replaces that with way more natural physics that look like an actual rope. The important thing is that the mod doesn't change how leads actually work, just how they look and render. Now, they have realistic physics, meaning you can literally drape them over trees or other blocks. What's cool is that the mod also comes with a few config options. You can choose between 2D and 3D rendering, tweak the physics strength, and even toggle block collisions on or off. You can easily change all of these settings right in-game using mod menu. Honestly, it's just a clean visual upgrade that makes the game feel a bit more polished. A Few More Deco is a very detailed decorative mod. The mod adds over 50 new decorative blocks like different kinds of pumpkins, lab tables and chalkboards, lamps, gravestones, papers, barrels, trash, and various decorative rugs and pianos. Every model was made really carefully and in detail, so everything looks really good, yet still fits the vanilla style perfectly. Importantly, getting the decorations is very simple. First, we need to craft a special creation core out of 4 iron ingots and 1 die. Then we use it in a stone cutter where we unlock the ability to craft all the decorative blocks available in the mod. Thanks to that, you don't have to memorize dozens of new recipes. In my opinion, this is a perfect mod to add alongside other decorative mods in mod packs. Bartering Station is a cool mod for anyone who trades with piglins a lot and is sick of manually tossing gold ingots over and over. The mod adds one simple but really useful block that completely automates the whole bartering process. With it, you can basically turn a group of piglins into a small resource farm that runs almost entirely without you having to lift a finger. All you have to do is put gold ingots into the new table, and the station will automatically hand them over to nearby piglins. What's cool is that all the items you get back go straight into the station, so you don't have to run around around picking up scattered loot. That makes farming obsidian, ender pearls, quartz, and other bartering items way more convenient. And if that's not enough, the mod works with hoppers too, so you can build a fully automatic system that feeds gold into the station and collects everything you get in return. One table can handle up to 6 nearby piglins at once, so if you want a bigger farm, just place a few of these tables next to each other. It's just one new block, but bro, look how much it can change. Man, I love physics mods for Minecraft. Ragdoll Reactions is a really interesting mod for people who want our character to react to taking damage in a much more realistic way. Instead of stiffly stopping after a hit or an explosion, our character can go into ragdoll mode. Basically, they'll fall over. Thanks to that, all collisions look a lot more dynamic and add something unique to the game. Ragdoll triggers during things like, for example, hitting a wall while flying with an elytra, a TNT or creeper explosion, or even falling from a height. Thanks to that, every big loss of health adds a bit of humor to the gameplay. What's interesting is that we can basically change every parameter of how it works in the config. The mod lets us adjust the sensitivity for triggering ragdoll, limit the launch speed of the character, set the time between activations, and even decide whether the effect should also work in creative mode. Thanks to that, we can easily tailor it to our own world or server. Like I said, I love mods that add physics to the game, so in my humble opinion, I can definitely recommend this mod. Civilian Aviation is an awesome mod for anyone who loves planes, helis, and fast travel. It works as an add-on for immersive aircraft and adds a bunch of modern planes to the game, but everything's done in a super clean vanilla style, so the vehicles fit perfectly into Minecraft. You get the fast Skyhawk, which is perfect for short trips, the bigger Comanche with extra seats for your friends, the crazy fast Eclipse jet, and the massive trimotor made specifically for hauling tons of items. There are also helicopters like the Ranger and Dragonfly, which are great for landing in tight spots, mountain bases, or small islands. The animations are really smooth too, from the spinning propellers to the actual controls you can see in first person. Every vehicle comes in a few different colors. Plus, they have upgrade slots and storage, so they're useful for way more than just flying around. The mod even adds some combat vehicles like the Talon Fighter, which is built for dogfights and lets you drop bombs. Because of that, it's not just great for a chill survival world or building airports, but also for multiplayer servers or huge adventure mod packs. Honestly, I'm not usually a huge fan of vehicle mods, but this one is just put together so well. It's one of the few plane add-ons I actually really enjoy. Magnetizing is a genuinely really interesting mod for anyone who's into automation and all kinds of redstone mechanics. The mod adds a whole set of items and blocks based on magnets, letting you attract or repel different objects in the world. That means you can build cool farms, new item transport systems, or just mess around with physics in a pretty creative way. The core piece of the mod is a new ore called magnetite. It generates in the world similarly to iron, and it's the basic resource you need to craft magnets. The mod adds 2 different types of magnets. The red magnet attracts objects while the blue one does the exact opposite and pushes away everything in its range. The standard block magnets affect objects in every direction, and you can freely adjust their range just by right-clicking. There's also directional magnets, which only work in one direction and are perfect for building more advanced mechanisms. With these, you can create all sorts of transporters, traps, or automatic systems for moving mobs and items around. And if that's not enough, the mod also throws in special anti-magnetic boots, plus small magnets you can just hold in your hand. In my opinion, this is one of the more creative tech mods out there. It doesn't add huge machines or complicated systems, but with a few simple mechanics, it lets you build some genuinely cool stuff. Visual Overhaul is a unique mod that adds small but meaningful visual changes that make Minecraft look significantly, and I mean significantly, better. The mod doesn't add new blocks or mechanics, and instead completely refreshes the animations and appearance of a few well-known blocks. Thanks to that, everyday activities become much more pleasant to look at. From now on, the furnace, smoker, blast furnace, brewing stand, and jukebox all look much more realistic. While they're working, we can see moving parts, flames, bubbles, and other animations that make the blocks feel more 3D. On top of that, the mod adds special icons next to buttons in the game menu. It's the kind of mod that doesn't add anything to the game, but slightly changes how it looks, making it way more enjoyable to play. Flimsy Torches is definitely one of the more unique mods out there. It completely changes how torches and lanterns work, since from now on, they won't burn forever. Every torch gradually wears down, going through several burnout stages until it eventually goes out completely. That makes exploring caves and securing your base way more demanding. As for lanterns, you can now place torches inside them, and those will burn out a lot slower than normal. That turns lanterns into more than just decoration. They become a practical way to light up your base long term. Of course, you can still craft regular regular torches that stay lit forever, but those will require a magma cream in the recipe. There are a few extra mechanics too. Villagers can actually swap out burnt out torches nearby on their own, and the mod comes with configuration options that let you, among other things, change how long torches take to burn out. In my opinion, this is a really interesting mod. It makes the early game slightly harder and forces you to manage your lighting better in those early stages. Tree physics is probably the best mod right now that adds real physics for trees. From now on, once you cut the bottom of the trunk, the whole tree starts falling over. But the most important thing is that it keeps real physics the entire time, meaning it can lean against another tree, get stuck, or simply fall flat on the ground. What's interesting is that the direction it falls depends on our position, so we can control where the tree lands. The effect itself looks really natural and fits the vanilla style perfectly. The mod also offers quite a lot of configuration options. We can decide whether trees should fall over immediately or only after a short animation, change the falling speed, set the maximum size of trees that can be chopped, and choose whether the mechanic should only work when using axes. Thanks to that, we can easily adjust how the mod works to fit our own playstyle or mod pack. In my opinion, this is a phenomenal mod with the best tree falling physics out of every mod on the market that I've seen. If you want to add a bit of customization and a unique touch to your world, the Grim Statues mod is going to be perfect for you. It lets you create your own fully posable statues that you can set up and customize however you want. This means you can build decorative figures, monuments of players, or just deck out your builds with something way cooler than regular armor stands. The whole mechanic revolves around two new items. First, you've got the statue hammer. This is what you use to actually make the statues out of two blocks stacked on top of each other. Once you hit them with the hammer, the regular blocks turn into a finished statue that you can pose. You can move every single limb separately, so there are basically no limits when it comes to posing them. With the second new item, you can give the statue any player skin you want. All you have to do is type in a specific username, and the statue instantly takes on that player's look. This opens up a ton of possibilities since you can build monuments for your friends, decorative characters, or NPCs that look like actual players. A huge plus is that everything is kept in a simple vanilla style. The mod doesn't add over-the-top effects or complicated mechanics. It just focuses on one specific job and does it really well. In my opinion, I think it's the perfect mod for anyone who loves building and wants to bring their world to life a bit more. Homesteads Villager expansion is a mod that adds 5 brand new villager professions, along with a handful of new structures scattered across the world, making exploration way more interesting and giving trading a lot more depth. From now on, while traveling, you can run into completely new settlers with these new professions. Each one generates in different biomes and comes with its own specialty. For example, the lumberjack deals with wood and saplings, the trapper trades animal-related items, while the prospector specializes in ores and mining. This makes trading way more varied compared to vanilla. Of course, the mod also adds new job site blocks tied to each profession. Every block has its own use and lets you perform extra actions. For example, you can turn rotten flesh into leather or sift through gravel looking for resources. You'll also be able to encounter these new villagers in the new structures, which means these new professions aren't just more villagers to trade with, they actually feel like residents living outside of the usual villages. Modest Mining is a mod for people who like to refresh the resource gathering, tool crafting, and gear progression system while still keeping that vanilla feel. The mod adds new weapons, a forging system, archaeology, extra materials, and tons of new items, so basically every stage of gameplay related to mining becomes way more interesting. The biggest attraction of this mod is obviously the new crafting system. Instead of making most tools through regular crafting, we use a special forge, basically a furnace that works like a crafting table but requires fuel. That's where the new weapons, tools, and many other items added by the mod are made. What's interesting is that the mod also adds completely new types of weapons. We can use katanas that give faster attacks, glaives that offer longer reach, maces that knock enemies back, or powerful hammers used both for combat and for crushing resources. The mining system itself has also been expanded. The hammer lets us grind ores into dust, which we then smelt down. There are also lumps of coal, dust, and new materials. There's also plenty of smaller additions. The mod introduces archaeology with new finds, shells found on beaches, rocks found in plains, and pearls obtained from clams. On top of that, it's compatible with a lot of popular mods, so it works great in bigger mod packs too. Next up on our list is the Potion Combiner mod. This one's a genuinely really useful mod for anyone who uses potions a lot and is tired of having their whole inventory filled up with different little potions. The mod adds a special table that lets you combine several potions into one while keeping all of their effects intact, so instead of carrying a strength potion, a speed potion, and a regeneration potion separately, you can just create one combined potion that has all those properties at once. And obviously, you can do the same thing with negative potions, combining those together too. Honestly, if this kind of mechanic mechanic were just a standard part of the game, I think a lot more people would actually start using different kinds of potions. Subnautica 2 dropped less than a month ago, and that's actually why I figured this next mod would be absolutely perfect for today's video. Seamoths is a pretty unique mod that brings one of the most iconic vehicles from Subnautica straight into Minecraft. It adds a fully functional Seamoth, a special submarine that lets you freely explore the oceans, and more importantly, makes doing it way faster and easier. The mod also introduces new resources like titanium and lead, which you'll need to craft the Seamoth itself. What's cool is that the creator is planning to add even more underwater vehicles straight from Subnautica, specifically sea glides. In my opinion, it's a small mod, but it's got a ton of potential and seriously speeds up ocean exploration, or even just crossing big bodies of water. Locks-Unofficial is a really interesting mod for people who play on multiplayer servers or just want to better secure their chests and doors from other players. The mod adds a special system of locks, keys, and lockpicks to the game, so opening someone else's chests isn't as simple as in vanilla anymore. All the mechanics were carried over from the original Locks mod, and on top of that, a lot of bugs present in the older version have been fixed. The most important mechanic, of course, is the locks. We can place them on chests, doors, and other similar blocks, and then only open them with the right key. Each lock has its own identifier, so only people with the correct key will be able to get inside. What's interesting is that during a world generation, some chests and structures may already have locks on them. Of course, lockpicks are also included. Instead of a simple click, we get a special mini-game where we have to set the lock's pins correctly. If we do everything right, we'll manage to open the lock. Otherwise, the lockpick might break. The better quality the lock, the more pins it has, and the harder it becomes to open. Thanks to that, looting locked chests requires not only the right items, but also a bit of patience and luck. In my opinion, this is the perfect mod for multiplayer servers because it adds an item securing mechanic in a simple way and makes opening locked chests or passages way more interesting than just right-clicking. Mini Blockz Items Edition is a cool mod, or more like a data pack really, made especially for people who love decorating their builds and are always looking for new ways to add small details to their projects. From now on, you'll be able to turn regular items into miniature versions of themselves, which you can then use as decorations. That means your storage rooms, houses, or gardens can end up looking way more detailed and nice. All you have to do is throw the item you want into a stone cutter, and you'll get a shrunk down version of it, ready to be placed in the world. The data pack adds over 150 different miniature items. You'll find things like miniature buckets, diamonds, ingots, books, potions, food, ender pearls, nether stars, and even different kinds of mine carts. What's cool is that every single one of these decorations is just a player head under the hood, so everything stays true to the vanilla style. Gym Mech is a mod that adds a fully functional mech with a ton of awesome features. It's not cheap to craft, but it's definitely worth it for what it can do, because this isn't just your average mech. Once you hop inside, you can shoot special projectiles. They aren't crazy powerful on their own, but the fast rate of fire shreds most enemies pretty quickly. On top of the weapons, you can actually pick up blocks and chuck them from a distance, and if that wasn't enough, you can even throw them at mobs to deal damage. It also comes with a built-in jetpack. All you have to do is hold down space, which gives you insane mobility while exploring. Plus, the mech deflects arrows, which comes in super handy during raids. Of course, you can pick it up and carry it somewhere else just by crouching and right-clicking. It's worth mentioning though that the mod was mostly made as a one-off project for a modding competition, so the creator warns that it probably won't get major updates and you might run into some bugs. Even so, I think it's a super creative and well-made mod that fits perfectly into any tech or mech-themed mod pack. Modular Backpacks is a mod that adds a unique backpack, but before I say more, I just want to say that I know there's a ton of backpack mods out there, but this one is a bit different, and in my opinion it's genuinely good, which is why I decided to show it here. Instead of adding different tiers of backpacks, the mod goes with a modular design. That means we can customize the backpack ourselves to fit our own playstyle by choosing special modules responsible for different functions. By default, the backpack gives us 9 item slots plus 4 extra slots for modules. On top of that, we can dye the backpack and decorate it with patterns. But the modules are really the most important part here. We can attach things like an extra pocket that increases capacity, a quiver for arrows, a portable pot that lets us very slowly smelt items without using fuel, a climbing module that lets us climb walls, or a special module that literally lets us grow plants inside our backpack. The mod also adds a few unique enchantments, and one of them makes the backpack stay with us after death. There's also solid compatibility with other popular mods like Create or Farmer's Delight. In my opinion, this is one of the most interesting backpack mods out there because instead of just increasing your inventory space, it lets you build a backpack that's perfectly tailored to your playstyle. Villager Retaliation is a unique mod that completely changes how villagers work, since from now on, they actually remember how you treat them, build up their own opinion of you, and are able to defend themselves against threats. That makes villages start to feel like actual living communities instead of just a bunch of helpless NPCs. The biggest highlight of this mod is, of course, the reputation system. Every single villager keeps track of your actions individually, so one resident might trust you, while another one might flat out hate your guts. Trading, helping out during monster attacks, or completing tasks builds up trust, while stealing, attacking villagers, or destroying their stuff ruins your relationship really fast. What's interesting is that reputation doesn't just affect item prices, it also affects how the villagers themselves behave. And obviously you can no longer just beat up villagers with no consequences. If you attack one, they won't just helplessly run away anymore. Some villagers can actually fight back, and witnesses can call for backup from other nearby adult villagers. On top of that, every profession has its own unique fighting style. Fletchers use bows and crossbows while farmers swing their hoes. The mod also adds a whole dialogue, gift, and quest system, but I don't want to spoil everything because this could go on forever. Definitely one of the more underrated mods out there. Trajectory estimation is a really useful mod for people who often use bows, crossbows, tridents, or other ranged weapons. The mod displays the predicted trajectory of a projectile before it's even launched, which makes it much easier to hit both enemies and distant targets. Everything runs entirely client-side and doesn't affect the game's mechanics at all. While drawing a bow or preparing another projectile, we'll see an exact line showing where the arrow, snowball, egg, experience bottle, potion, ender pearl, or trident will most likely land. Thanks to that, landing accurate shots from a long distance becomes much easier. The mod also supports many items added by other popular mods. What's interesting is that the mod also has an audio warning feature. If a mob or player is standing on the predicted trajectory, we'll hear a distinctive sound letting us know there's a good chance we'll hit the target. On top of that, we can freely configure all the effects. We can turn trajectories on or off individually for specific items, change the color and size of the displayed line, and even turn off the sound if it bothers us. It's worth remembering though, that the predicted trajectory won't always be 100% accurate. Some projectiles have a random deviation when fired, and weapons with homing mechanics can only show the initial direction of flight. Even so, in most situations, the preview is very accurate and makes aiming a lot easier. A perfect quality of life mod for people who use ranged weapons a lot. Next up in today's episode is Feur Extension Desert, and it's all about expanding desert biomes, adding new structures, decorations, and points of interest that make trekking through the wasteland way more interesting. From now on, while exploring the desert, you can stumble upon brand new pyramids hiding all kinds of treasure, abandoned houses, mysterious ruins, or even some really atmospheric oases that do a great job of spicing up the desert biome. What's cool is that the mod also adds new cactus variants and different rock formations made out of sandstone. At first glance, the cacti might look a little weird since they're not connected, but you literally won't even notice it during gameplay, and the whole world just ends up looking way better. A huge plus is that this mod was designed as an add-on that extends the existing world generation, so it shouldn't conflict with most other mods that add structures. In my opinion, this is one of the more interesting vanilla plus style mods out there. It's a simple way to make those empty deserts feel way more interesting and alive. Clanging Howl is a really interesting mod that significantly expands the winter biomes, adding mysterious extraterrestrial structures, futuristic technology, and completely new techno-organic monsters. From now on, in our world, we'll be able to find a bunch of completely new structures, including meteorites that will fall in our world every 15 nights. And in some of them, we'll find either different kinds of new resources or new monsters. Of course, besides monsters, the mod also adds a couple of completely new weapons like a flamethrower, a chainsaw, or a portable drill. There's actually quite a lot of it, but I don't want to spoil everything. Besides the technological stuff, we can also find completely new tools and decorative blocks. In my opinion, this is a really extensive science fiction style mod, which also adds a couple of challenging fights and new mechanics. Traveler Tool Belt is the perfect quality of life mod for anyone who's sick of their inventory getting clogged up with tools and constantly having to rearrange their hotbar. The mod adds a special tool belt that lets you store your most important items in a separate spot and switch between them instantly. That makes exploring, building, or even just regular mining way more convenient. At first, the belt only has 2 slots, but you can gradually upgrade it through crafting, increasing its capacity all the way up to 9 slots. What's cool is that by default, it can hold pretty much any item that doesn't stack, so it's perfect for keeping your pickaxes, axes, shovels, shears, or other frequently used tools. All you have to do is hold down R by default and pick the item to grab it in your hand. And of course, you can tweak the mod settings a bit, for example through the mod menu. In my opinion, this is the perfect quality of life mod that should be in every single mod pack. Slag and Embers is an awesome mod for anyone who loves tech mods, melting down ores, and crafting custom gear. It mostly focuses on processing materials, making alloys, and building modular tools out of different parts. If you've ever played Tinker's Construct, it has a pretty similar vibe, though this one is a bit more streamlined and compact. The main mechanic here is definitely the ore smelting system. Instead of just using a regular furnace, you get special melters, crucibles, and forges that let you melt ores and materials into liquid metal. What's cool is that you can also mix them to create your own alloys, like rose gold or other combos with unique stats. This makes crafting gear way more depth than just tossing a few ingots on a crafting table. On top of that, you can craft some seriously upgraded tools. Instead of just making a ready-to-go pickaxe or sword, you piece them together from separate parts using special blueprints. Every material changes the tool's stats, so you can mix and match to optimize durability, mining speed, attack damage, and other traits. It's one of those mechanics that completely hooks you if you love min-maxing your gear. Honestly, it's the perfect alternative to Tinker's Construct, and it's quite a bit easier to get into. Dynamic Waters is a small but really interesting mod that completely reworks how rivers generate, so now they actually have a clear direction and their own current, which can push players, animals, or dropped items around. That makes the world feel a lot more natural and alive. From now on, rivers generate as their own separate element of the world and adapt their path to the terrain, creating more natural valleys, canyons, and riverbeds. The river current itself is really well done too, since flowing water can actually push players, animals, and various items floating in it. On top of that, the author keeps actively developing the mod and regularly improves the world generation. In the latest updates, we got, among other things, full compatibility with the Tectonic mod, which is a massive plus. Fake Blocks mod, as the name suggests, adds special fake blocks to the game that look exactly like regular blocks, but you can walk right through them. It's worth pointing out that the blocks literally don't look any different from normal ones, which is a plus, because unfortunately in some mods of this kind there's always some visible difference. Thanks to that, we can easily hide secret passages, stashes, or secret rooms that are practically impossible to notice. They look exactly the same as their standard counterparts, but they have no collision. That means the wall looks completely normal to other players, while we can simply walk right through it. It's a great solution for building hidden bases, secret tunnels, or rooms protected from uninvited players. Creating these blocks is very simple. Just place one of the supported blocks in the stone cutter to turn it into its fake version. The mod supports things like different variants of concrete, stripped logs, and a few types of bricks. In my opinion, this is one of those small mods that only adds a single mechanic but opens up a ton of new possibilities when building. If you've always dreamed of a real secret base with a hidden entrance, this mod is definitely worth checking out. Autowork is a genuinely really interesting and unique mod for people who like automation but aren't really into huge machines, cables, and complicated power systems like in Create. The mod was built in a vanilla style, so all the mechanics fit really well with the overall Minecraft vibe. Instead of adding more power sources, the mod focuses on simple blocks that automate everyday tasks using redstone, item flow, and minecarts. The biggest strength of this mod is the sheer number of practical blocks. You'll find things like the drill, which automatically mines blocks using whatever tools placed inside it, the placer, which lets you automatically place blocks, and the extractor, which moves items between chests. There's also faster versions of hoppers in the form of chutes, plus special filters. That makes building farms and simple little factories way easier. And what's cool is the author also went pretty deep into a system built around minecarts. The mod adds special loaders and unloaders that automatically load and unload items from minecarts, which makes transporting resources by rail way more practical than in vanilla. There's genuinely a ton of new redstone related stuff packed in here, and the best part is everything's nicely explained in game, so you definitely won't get lost trying to figure out what does what. In my opinion, this mod is perfect for people who aren't into Create but still want a convenient way to automate their farms or storage setups. Not So Shrimple Remolted is a mod for people who'd like to meet completely new dangerous creatures inspired by crustaceans and mollusks. The mod adds a few unique enemies, new resources, and powerful weapons. Let's start with the new monsters. The first one is the huge crayfish, an aggressive crab-like creature found in swamps. It has several different attacks, including powerful claw strikes, jumps, charges, and a ranged attack. It also comes in a few different color variants, and after defeating it, it can drop valuable items like shrimp meat, upgrade stones, or the rare calloused claw used to craft a very powerful weapon. The second enemy is the man-eater shell, a 6-legged mollusk that lives near shipwrecks. This creature has its own set of attacks and can charge violently at the player. After defeating it, we can get the purging stone, a special item that removes negative effects. I mentioned the new weapon earlier. The mod adds a powerful sword equipped with a special attack that creates a small shockwave. On top of that, we get new materials for upgrading our gear, like the smithing stone, which increases item durability, or the somber stone, which strengthens weapons and armor. I also can't skip mentioning the really well made and polished animations of both these monsters. Genuinely brilliant work, and the mod itself is definitely underrated. Pillager Caravans is a really cool mod that stops pillagers from just being random patrols wandering around the world. It adds special Illager caravans that travel between biomes, hauling awesome loot under heavy guard. Instead of just another static structure, you get something way more dynamic. Treasures can literally roll right past your base. The best part about this mod is that there are over a dozen different types of caravans, which keeps things super fresh. The whole setup and the loot change depending on the biome you're in. Caravans in the jungle might carry exotic resources and plants. Desert groups focus on supplies and gear built for harsh environments, while snowy caravans often have more practical gear and food supplies. Of course, grabbing that loot isn't going to be easy. The caravans are protected by pillagers, vindicators, and the tougher ones even have ravagers. What's cool is that once a massive caravan spawns, the game increases the cooldown for the next one, so your world doesn't get completely flooded with constant spawns. In my opinion, it's the perfect mod to add to your world to spice up how pillagers work. Restored Trail Village is a genuinely really cool mod for anyone who thinks trail ruins have a lot of potential, but feel kind of underused in vanilla Minecraft. Let's be honest, basically nobody ever bothers going to them. The mod brings these ancient settlements tied to the trail ruins back to life, adding a brand new village that generates in the jungle biome. So while exploring, you can now stumble upon a whole new type of settlement that fits the trail ruins vibe perfectly. The structure was built to look like a rebuilt version of the old ruins. And what's cool is, the mod also adds special loot along with a few new villager traders. In my opinion, this is the perfect mod for your world. A great way to replace those ruins that literally nobody ever visits. Orehammer is a useful mod, especially in the early game when we want to gather resources faster. The mod adds a special hammer to the game that lets us crush ores in raw ores, so we can get a lot more materials from a single deposit. Everything's kept in vanilla style without unnecessary machines or complicated energy systems. The most important element of the mod is, of course, the crushing hammer. We craft the tool mainly from copper and a small amount of iron, and then use it to crush ores and raw ores into a special raw ore dust. After that, we just need to smelt the dust in a furnace to get more ingots than with standard smelting. The author capped the efficiency at a level close to the Fortune 2 enchantment, so the mod doesn't break the game's balance, and Fortune 3 still remains the better choice later in the game. Interestingly, the mod doesn't just support classic iron or copper ores. Special recipes were also prepared for diamonds, emeralds, and many ores, added by other popular mods. On top of that, Orehammer has built-in compatibility with projects like Create, Mechanism, Applied Energistics 2, or Tinker's Construct, so it also works great in bigger mod packs. In my opinion, it's the perfect mod for the early game to speed it up a bit. Perry's Decorations 2 is a well-made decoration mod that adds a bunch of new decorations in a vanilla style. From now on, while building, you've got decorations to choose from like stacks of books, stacks of paper, different kinds of barrels, decorative lanterns, old TVs, and a ton of different woodpile variants. And honestly, that wood is my favorite part of this mod because it looks great for things like farms or villages. And if that's not enough, there's a really cool mechanic added on top. Basically, every block from this mod can be rotated at a 45-degree angle using item frames, which gives you way more freedom when decorating interiors or putting together more detailed builds. And that's exactly the kind of mechanic that's missing from pretty much every decoration mod out there. In my opinion, this is the perfect lightweight decoration mod that still gives you a ton of value when building out your bases. Easy Building is a mod for people who often build large structures and are already sick of placing every single block one by one. The mod adds a simple building mode that lets you instantly create walls, floors, bridges, or roofs just by dragging your cursor. Thanks to that, building big projects becomes much faster and more convenient. After pressing the default key, left alt, we pick the plane we want to build on. Then all we have to do is click and drag the mouse, and blocks will automatically line up along the chosen surface. This works great for building long walls, floors, bridges, fences, or ceilings. A very big plus is also that this mod runs entirely client-side, so we can use it even on servers where the mod isn't installed. It's worth remembering though that some servers might treat this kind of assistance as not allowed, so it's worth checking the server rules before using it. On top of that, the mod doesn't let you place blocks in spots where it would normally be impossible, so it keeps Vanilla's rules intact. In my opinion, this is one of the best quality of life mods for builders. It doesn't add new blocks or complicated tools, but it significantly speeds up creating large structures and makes building way more enjoyable in survival. Vox the TV Demon is a pretty unique mod that adds a brand new dimension along with a really strong boss and a completely new weapon. The mod adds a powerful boss, but you won't find it anywhere in the overworld, since the author built it a totally separate dimension that you have to access using a special item. After teleporting, you end up in a brand new dimension made mostly out of obsidian, where you'll have to find a massive structure where the boss is waiting for you. The author themselves mentioned that this is meant to be a straight up endgame boss, and they recommend only fighting it once you've got netherite gear and a solid stockpile of healing items. The boss has 2 whole phases, and each one comes with its own set of attacks, which makes the fight way more demanding than going up against most standard enemies. And of course, there are rewards for beating the boss too. Once you win, you get a special item that lets you return to the overworld, but the coolest loot by far is the Vox gun, a new weapon that shoots lasers and lightning bolts. Enemies hit by it can get set on fire or zapped with lightning, although the weapon does have a reload time between shots that, in my opinion, is a little too long. Other than that, I think this is a genuinely good mod, and it's honestly way too underrated. Move Boats is an incredibly simple but extremely useful mod for people who often use boats while exploring the world or transporting mobs. In the base game, the only way to move a boat is to destroy it and place it again. This mod completely eliminates that problem, letting you move boats without having to destroy them. The whole mechanic is super simple. All you have to do is crouch and right-click on the boat to pick it up. Then you can carry it normally to wherever you want. Just crouch and right-click again. Thanks to that, you can easily and quickly transport villagers or animals to your base, or just quickly move a boat from one ocean to another. In my opinion, this is one of those small quality of life mods that just has to be in every single mod pack. The Great Outdoors is a mod that adds a ton of new stuff like new types of animals, completely new biomes, new types of food, new decorations, and a new kind of wood. But starting from the top, the mod adds a brand new biome featuring geothermal fields. While exploring, you can come across geysers, hot springs, mud pots, and a whole new set of plants, which makes this biome really stand out compared to the standard ones. Beyond the biome itself, the mod also adds a bunch of new animals. You can run into things like bears, cougars, pronghorns, marmots, tiny birds, and even small snakes. This adds a bit more variety and brings the whole world to life. And if that's not enough, the mod also adds 2 new structures, watchtowers and special tourist centers. In these spots, you can find a new villager profession and grab a bunch of new food from chests. There are also new decorative blocks, plants, and a whole new set of wood types coming from this new biome. In my opinion, this is one of those mods that doesn't go overboard with a massive amount of content, but does it in a really well-balanced way. Handycam is another small mod for people who want Minecraft to look more cinematic and dynamic. The mod doesn't add any new blocks or items, and instead completely changes how the first-person camera behaves. Thanks to subtle movements inspired by the way a real camera works, every journey, fight, or exploration feels like it's being filmed handheld, which significantly improves immersion. Most importantly, we can adjust everything, including the intensity, to our own liking, which is a huge plus. While walking, the camera sways gently, while sprinting it leans naturally, and when moving the mouse it follows our movement slightly. There are also effects tied to the character's breathing, jumping, landing, sneaking, taking damage, explosions, or even recoil while shooting a bow. A very big plus is also that Handycam runs entirely client-side. That means we can use it on basically any server without needing the mod installed server-side. Trial Guardians is another mod that adds completely new dungeon structures, along with a few new mini-bosses. The mod adds specially reworked trial chambers that generate randomly, so every exploration run ends up feeling a bit different. At the end of each dungeon, you'll find mini-bosses, each with their own special abilities. There are 3 types of chambers. The first one is full of lava, and at the end, you'll fight a special guardian who's the weakest out of the 3. The second chamber is full of water, and at the end, you'll face off against 2 hydras, which will shoot at you with a bow and teleport teleport away whenever you get close to them. And the last and hardest chamber is something like a mine shaft. At the end, you'll run into a Minotaur with fast and really powerful attacks. Of course, after beating each one, you'll get different kinds of loot. In my opinion, this is the perfect mod for adding a few new structures and mini bosses, livening up an empty world without really adding any new items to the game. Trample No More is a quality of life mod for people who are already tired of accidentally destroying their crop fields. The mod introduces a few simple changes to the farmland trampling mechanic. From now on, the feather falling enchantment completely prevents farmland from being destroyed while jumping. Leather boots work the same way, so we can move around our farms freely without risking destroying them. On top of that, players in creative mode also won't accidentally trample crops anymore. In vanilla Minecraft, you're basically stuck with item frames, which can get pretty boring after a while. Items Displayed is a mod that lets you place a bunch of items directly into the world as full 3D models, so your bases or storage rooms can look way more detailed. From now on, you can display things like ingots, pottery shards, smithing templates, amethyst, music discs, and a bunch of other valuable items. Instead of stashing everything away in chests, you can decorate your base in a really nice looking way. On top of that, you get a special item display that works kind of like an armor stand, but lets you rotate items at any angle you want. Not all of them, but things like pottery shards, for example. A perfect mod to throw into bigger mod packs as an extra add-on. Snow Imprints is for people who pay attention to detail and want the Minecraft world to look more realistic. The mod adds dynamic footprints left by players, animals, and other creatures while moving through snow or sand. Thanks to that, the world feels a lot more alive and exploring gains an extra bit of atmosphere. The footprints, of course, gradually fade away after a while. What's interesting is that the mod supports both snow layers, and regular and red sand, so we can see the effect in a lot of different biomes. A very big plus is also the extensive configuration. We can decide which creatures should leave footprints, which blocks the effect should work on, change how the footprints are rendered, or even change how they look. And we can see all the changes live on the right side in a test window, which is a huge plus. I'm really glad you made it this far into the video. Don't forget to smash that like button and leave a nice comment below. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.